Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast. It's your host, Sharon Smith, and I hope you all are doing well. Today is going to be a similar episode to the Keeping It Real episode that I had a while back, where basically I'm just going to kind of talk about, what's going through my mind, how I've been, because I talked about it a little bit on the podcast, some of the episodes, which I kept it vague on purpose, just out of respect and love for everyone. But yeah, no, the last few months, they've been tough just because, dealing with, first breakup, first heartbreak, but I promise I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. Like, if anything, I'm kind of smiling and laughing a little bit. I say laughing a little bit is because, something that I've been doing a lot lately is, I've been watching the YouTuber Dashy's like old videos, which my brother showed me Dashy a long time ago. Like, I think my brother found Dashy when he was playing Super Mario 3D World, and Dashy, for those of you who don't know who Dashy is, which is mostly just my parents, Dashy is a YouTuber who basically, he's gonna play games, he's gonna make skits, but the games he plays, he's loud during the games. And like, I don't mean like loud like I would get kind of loud. I mean like he's intentionally loud because like, it basically makes people laugh. And I watched him play Luigi's Mansion 3, which ironically I had watched him when he played that the first time, like on like when the game came out, and I was laughing my butt off, the entire time. And like I was watching it again, and I was like, you know what? Let me just watch like his Super Mario Maker videos, because those videos were really really funny. And like my mom told me the other night that she could hear me, upstairs in my room like laughing just like at his videos, which he was really really funny. But something else to kind of talk about like a little bit is like I've learned a lot about myself, like dealing with, like heartbreak and everything, which, you know, I'd be lying if I said, the whole entire thing wasn't on my mind from time to time, where like, I think, when I go to work, like that's when it's not exactly on my mind, but when I'm done, then like, yeah, I think about it a little bit, which, you know, thinking about it makes me human. I think it just really shows how much I cared and still do. But I'm living my life, to the fullest. I feel like I've done a lot for myself, which I feel like I'm getting better at doing that again, because I feel like at some point I might have lost, the ability for me to do things for myself because I was doing things for other people. I still kind of have that problem where sometimes I don't do stuff for myself. I kind of do stuff for other people and kind of put myself second. But I feel like I've been getting a little bit better at putting myself first. Something I've been doing a lot over the last 2 months is I've been going to the gym, which I will admit in the month of April, I have not gone to the gym as much as I should have and could have. And I will admit this, over this past weekend, I definitely had some time to go and I kind of just put it off. I kind of was just being lazy. But hey, I think I will have plenty of time this week to go to the gym, separate from the days that I work, because I experienced it a few times in April when I did go to the gym, where like if I went to the gym the morning of a day I had to work, and then like later at work, I'd be like, oh my God, dude, I'm so tired. Like, why am I so tired? So like, I don't like to combine those two. Cause I kind of remember to the days when I used to play football that like, if I had like an early morning lift or anything and then like had to go to class, like, but I'd be tired. I'd be beat. Like, I didn't like the feeling of sitting in class, like totally exhausted, like just my body just ready to go to bed. So like, I don't want to, put myself through that again at work, especially because like I live in Joliet, but I work in Naperville. So like the way to my job is about a 45-minute drive, but like at night, it's not really much of a problem besides for, potentially being tired. And like where that comes in is that like I'm the type of person when I'm driving, at least at nighttime, sometimes during the day, I love to call people and talk to them on the phone. I love it. It's just my way of showing that I'm thinking about them. Like, I'll call my mom, I'll call my dad, I'll call my brother, call my sister, a few of the people I'd call if I knew that they were free. And I just, talk to them for a bit. And, it just made me feel amazing. It always does. And so, I just love that and look forward to that. And I still do talk to them. But yeah, there's certain, like, I can't call the person who I sometimes probably want to call the most, which in theory, yes, I could, but I think I'm just going to make myself a little bit more sad if I was to do that. And so I'm learning how to live life without them, even though that I want to, like be a part of their life somehow. You know what I mean? Like I'm still working through my feelings a little bit. Um, which again, I'm still trying to keep things vague. At least the parts about them, I'm trying to keep vague. Which I'm trying to be respectful by keeping things vague. For those of you, if you were to reach out to me and ask, like, hey, can you explain this a little bit more? I'll explain it to you privately. Um, but the best thing I can do while like talking about how I feel with the parts that include them is to just stay vague. But kind of some other things that I've been doing last few weeks. So this past Friday, I went to the All Blue, yes, the One Piece themed restaurant in Bolingbrook, and I went with my older brother, and it was awesome. I'd always see the videos on TikTok of people going, trying their sushi, and it was amazing. Think I had about 4 or 5 different rolls, which also something separate. I think I hear one of my dogs walking up the stairs. Well, I should say my mom's dog or even Brooke's dog walking up the stairs. Only because Brooke is currently outside, doing some stuff around the house. Um, and yeah, I'm just in here doing my podcast. But yeah, they hear me talking and they want to, come in here, which I have the door closed. But whatever. Talking about the One Piece restaurant. So me and my brother basically had 2 rounds of sushi, which on my first round, I think I had 4 different rolls, which 3 of them were, One Piece themed. Like right when you walk in the restaurant, the very first thing you see is like a tall Luffy statue, and then you see the wanted posters of some of the characters behind him. Then when you go inside, you just see a bunch of One Piece, like we'll just say like merch, like whether it's like tall like figurines or like smaller ones or even wanted posters. It's just really cool. Um, I'd say what's kind of become my go-to, at least like when I go to get sushi, like for the most part, I'll always at least try at least one thing new while having like one thing that I'm used to. Just I feel like sushi is like the perfect thing for me to like step out of my comfort zone a little bit because like for those of you who know, I feel like I have a history of not stepping out of my comfort zone. I feel like I did a great job of it in 2025 of stepping out of my comfort zone a lot, doing things that either A, I never would have done before, or B, I just would not have imagined for myself doing. I did it a little bit in 2026, and then I'm kind of getting back to it. But I really, really like salmon rolls. I think they're really, really good. I don't remember exactly what rolls I had that were One Piece themed. I do remember that I had 2 that were Sanji themed. I think I had the all blue roll, which I don't remember exactly what was in it. But my favorite, I want to say, it was one of the Sanji themed rolls, which Sanji's not even my favorite One Piece character. He's not. I'd say my favorite One Piece character is kind of obscure. He's not even a main character. My favorite One Piece character is Corazon, which I'm not even going to really dive into why exactly he's my favorite. But if I had to say who's my favorite, at least character close to the main character, it's easily Jinbei. Easily. Like my favorite One Piece character kinds to flip, which I haven't watched the show in a while only because I refuse to absolutely catch up. But if you were to reach out to me and say, hey, Jaren, why is Corazon your favorite character? I'll tell you. But I think the reason why I'm not going to kind of talk about why he's my favorite on the podcast is only because I'm not going to try to spoil any of you, which I get it. Like, for those of you who are interested in anime, either you have a very strong opinion about One Piece or you don't, which ironically, a long time ago, I basically said, I'm never going to watch One Piece because the show's too long. And then the summer of, actually, I should say the winter, like winter break sophomore year, I started watching it, got a little far. Then that summer, I just continued watching it because I just was so bored. And then just kind of continued to speed through it, which, like, I think the show is really good. I just think it's too long, personally, even though that I've watched a lot of episodes. Something else to talk about is, would have been, I think, about 2 weeks ago now, give or take. I went to my very first baseball game. Yes, I did. My, best friend from college, Kevin, he invited me to, with his family to go to a Sox game, which, yeah, I just drove to where Kevin was and his family, just took us the rest of the way. We had great seats, which I might try to put some of the videos that I took while I was there in this podcast. Maybe I'll put them at the end. Maybe I'll put them at the beginning. I'm not sure. Or because I do kind of plan like this week to talk about baseball a little bit more. So like I might also save the videos I took with my phone for that baseball themed episode. which don't worry, the sports content is on the way. I've got a lot of stuff I can talk about with, baseball, the NBA, the NFL, a lot of stuff I can talk about, in the near future. But I loved it. The baseball game. I want to go to more. I want to go to Sox games. I want to go to Cubs games. And I think the reason why I wouldn't say I have a favorite baseball team, like I just root for, the Sox or the Cubs. Like if they win, I'm happy. If they're playing, like if I was at a Cubs and Sox game, I wouldn't really exactly care who wins just as long as it was a good game. But I went to looking at it. It was April 25th. It was that Saturday where the Sox are playing the Nationals. And basically, I basically was telling Kevin that, like, man, the one thing I could not do is follow the ball. As like, like the pitcher, basically throws a pitch or like they, actually get a hit. Which, sometimes my instinct kind of kicked in. But like there were times where, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, where like maybe I was looking at like the big like TV screen and then like a pitch was thrown. I was like, holy crap. But like in that game, the Sox actually managed to come back. I don't know the names of like the players on the team very well, so don't ask me that. But whoever the pitcher was before Jordan Leisure, who came in the game and basically just after that, everything just went downhill. Whoever that pitcher was, that's who I would have kept in to, kind of finish off that game personally. Because like in the short time that he was in, I feel like he gave the Sox a great fighting chance. But hey, I'm still learning about baseball. It is what it is. It is what it is. What are some other things that I have been doing? Um, Other things that I've been doing is I've been slowly upgrading my wardrobe. Just trying to add more clothes. Just trying to wear different stuff, different colors. Just because like a lot of the clothes that I have like are old and like I feel like sometimes I'm the type of person to wear like the similar kind of clothes that I would always wear. And like, I can't describe my sense of style to another person, but like people typically told me that like kind of something similar. They were like, yeah, Jaren, like you do have style, but like they couldn't really describe it to me either. I think if I was to attempt to describe it, I feel like my style is fairly casual. Like I'll wear some of my nicer casual clothes for like, like going out. I like us to go out with friends, go out with family. I don't have like a lot of dress up clothes, which like I basically said to like my brother, I said to my mom, and I said to a couple other friends that like, in the near future, like if I'm able to get like a second, job to go with, the job that I have, I want to use some of that money to like buy nicer clothes. I want to do it for two reasons. One, the most important reason for myself. I want to, basically be able to have nicer clothes to wear to a job interview. If I'm invited to a fancy dinner, go to a fancy dinner or even a date, which, in the past, for dates, I never really dressed up like some of my dates in the past have done, which the part of me that's being a little too nice, if they took the time to, dress up, look nice, I should do that out of respect for both myself and them, if that makes sense. But the most important factor in that situation is I want to have some nicer clothes for myself. And no, I'm not going to ask for any suggestions on where I should go or like learn how to dress. I'm not trying to ask anyone for that because it's something that I want to learn on my own. I want to find my sense of style for myself, within my own comfort zone, which, yes, I still need to step out of my comfort zone when it comes to it. But I at least want to start by adding clothes that, I want to learn myself. Which another thing I also been doing, I've been reading. Um, I admit I am not like an avid reader. I've been going to the library. I've been picking up books. I picked out my second book, which the first book that I picked out, it was about closure, which, as I talked about already in this episode, I kind of wish things were different with, the heartbreak, I'm still like going through and affected by, which I'd say if there were three takeaways that I've kind of had from the situation or kind of the book kind of helped me realize is number one, again, I'm human. It's been almost 3 months and, I still care a lot, even though that, I haven't talked to them in a little over a month. If they were to need me right now today, I would do whatever I could to help them. Now, I don't think they would reach out to me, but if they did, I would, help out however I could, only because I care. The second thing, which I'm going to pull out my phone for this because I did take some notes on my phone with that specific book, and only because they were stuff that I wanted to remember, I wanted to take away from like this book, because like I wasn't really taking notes just from the way you would from school. I kind of just was taking notes because I was like, you know what, I think this would help me. So I'm gonna read two quotes from this book that I had taken down, and I don't want to like I kind of tell you what they mean for me. Um, I don't have the title of the book, which I'll probably attempt to put in the description below. But on page 8 of the book, quote, open your mind to the possibility that getting closure in the form that you expected does not mean you don't have it, end quote. That was very early on in the book, which I just like loved that because like I couldn't really explain to you what closure was before it's something to read the book. And like I know that the way I originally wanted closure, I'm not going to get it, and that is okay. But just because in the way I originally wanted closure does not mean I can't find some sort of closure on my own. In which the closure that I'm kind of finding for myself is to just, hey, live life to the fullest. Like, just continue living, continue building, because life pauses for no one. Like, yeah, I had my time where I spent, like down, I was kicked, like I was, knocked down, dusting myself off, and, I just kept going. And then the other thing that I want to, kind of, read about is just verifying, they're talking about me being human. Quote, having a broken heart is human. Those two quotes just, I'd say, stood out to me the most, is just because, like, all of the emotions that I felt, in the past and still continue to feel, all the sadness. I cried a lot. I did. I'm not going to even lie to you. But all of that makes me human. Like, I already knew I was human before. I already knew that, like, I, felt things very strongly. But, like, just because I felt the way that I did and I feel the way that I do in this very moment doesn't take, like, anything away from me. I know that I'm a good person. I know that I had great intentions. I have great intentions with everyone. But I'm, learning from, the mistakes that I had made and, trying to grow from them. Um, and but yeah, no, but the only other thing to like kind of talk about with that whole situation is I saw on social media where basically it's this account where the owner of the account kind of maybe finds people. I don't know how they find people, but I imagine he probably would just go up to people, ask them if they're open to being a video, then he asked them a question, typically a deep hitting question. And so a specific video that he had posted was, which basically it's the stranger giving advice to him. And the advice that the stranger had given was, like, been given was, I wished you loved yourself as much as you loved your ex. And like that just hit me like a wall. Like I just ran through like a brick wall. Cause like the only thing really I have to say about that is that like if you went to me at the beginning of this year and you told me, Jaron, do you love your ex? I don't think I really would have answered you. Which now I definitely would answer you. I'd give you two versions of that answer. Um, but ultimately, like, yeah, I could admit that. But hey, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, if you were to ask them about a certain people at a certain point in their lives, I'm sure they would probably feel very similar to I do. Um, in which I'm not embarrassed by, talking on my podcast about it. Like, I'm not trying to be performative in any way. I'm not trying to seek revenge. I don't want to inflict pain. Like, I'm all about, the love that I have for people, for everyone. And I've also, I want to thank everyone, including, I want to thank everyone for, all the advice I had been given. But yeah, no, I think the advice that, the stranger had gotten in that video, I think it just really hit home because like, I may not have thought about it in the past, but I had thought about it now. And I was like, yeah, I can work to love myself a little bit better. I really can. I really can. But yeah, no, overall though, I'm in a pretty good mood. I'm pretty happy. I think for this week, what I have planned is I'm probably going to try to go for some ice cream. I could really go for some ice cream right about now. And also, I really want to see the Super Mario movie, which it's been out for about a month now. Um, another thing I have been working toward with stepping out of my comfort zone is, doing stuff alone. I don't know. I feel like, just being able to do stuff alone, it kind of just shows a level of confidence within yourself. Like the main things I've been able to do alone that I had never done before, mainly is just going out to eat. Which I had never done before. I had done it a couple times, which I'm comfortable doing it. I've never seen a movie by myself before, which I do think I'm gonna try to do that for the first time very, very soon. Um, is there anything else I want to talk about on the podcast? Again, this is not scripted. The only thing that was scripted about this was the quotes that I read, and even that, I just wanted to share those all with you, just because they helped me out a lot. And hey, if they can help somebody else out a lot, along with me putting the name of the book in the caption, then hey, I'll be glad that my knowledge, my journey has helped another person. But overall, I think I'm gonna end the podcast here. I don't want to kind of keep yapping when, kind of nothing else is coming to mind, but I do like filming the, like no script episodes, just with me talking as best as I can. Cause like when like I talk about football, I talk about, other sports or other things. Like, yes, I have my notes and I do my best to not read them. Um, but the notes are a good way for helping me stay on topic, which um I can try to improve, me not looking at my phone as much, at least when I do a video podcast. Because I do know that when I did the NFL draft episode, I was looking at my phone a lot. I was. So for future video podcasts, I think I will make sure that, I do a better job at looking at the camera, or even if I have a guest, I do a better job at looking at my guest in comparison to just looking at my phone. Because I feel like that wasn't as natural as I was hoping for, if that makes sense. But enough yapping. I hope you all enjoy, me, keeping it real, because I am very passionate about myself. Love you guys, and I thank you for listening. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you.